Hey guys, welcome to the Rat Grind. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Chris. If this is your first time on this channel, please do subscribe, hit the notification bell, as well as give me your feedback. Comment below. Let me know what you think about the news that we discussed today. I'd love to have a discussion with you guys about my perspective on the different trend analysis that we do, where the crypto market is going, and as well as the news that I'm able to present to you guys. So please do comment below, give me your feedback, communicate with me on other channels as well. I look forward to having an open communication with a lot of you, as well as, please, this is not financial advice. I am not a licensed financial advisor. Please do your own research. Make sure that you only invest in crypto assets on opportunities that you personally find value in. All right, so let's get right to it. So as you can see behind me, the whole market is pretty much in the green. I'm very happy, and I think this is much needed news in our overall market as of today. We saw, we were battered last week with a lot of reds, a lot of pull downs, and it's really great to see that the market is again back in the green. I didn't record any video over the weekend because I really wanted to look at and analyze where the markets were headed. I saw it increase on Saturday, but I wanted to see, normally on Monday we get a, like a pullback or whatnot, but I really wanted to see where that happened. So it consolidated today, and we're going to look at the chart and see exactly what happened. So let's go to CoinMarketCap and see where the market is at as of right now. So as you can see on CoinMarketCap, as of right now, the market cap overall for our space is $274 billion. When we were looking at this, I believe on Friday and, last week, I know that we had some upticks to end last week, but, earlier in the week and the previous week, we were seeing it all the way down to about $230 billion, right? So there's been a lot, like almost $30 billion re-entered the crypto markets in the last couple of days and all across the weekend. So that's really great news. The volume is up again today, and we've been looking at this close to the $10 billion range. But as of right now, we are at 15.8, almost $16 billion, and Bitcoin dominance is at 41.5%. Although, like I keep telling you guys, we want to see this down to less than 40, maybe around the 35 range, because if you invest in altcoins, you want the wealth or the overall market cap to be sort of distributed, spread the wealth a little bit, right? Spread the love. That's what we want to be able to see. But if you can see overall, pretty much everything is in the green, almost everything. I know Tether earlier was not in the green, or I guess right now it's 0.06% up, so that's really good. Tether doesn't really do much because it just maintains its stability there, but pretty much a lot of different cryptocurrencies have been moving up. Bitcoin, wow, 30.15%. Actually, let's sort this out. Wax, wow, if you are invested in Wax, congratulations to you. That's a really good uptick in the last 24 hours. Bitcoin 30%. Loom Network, wow, congratulations, 25% exactly. Qcoin shares at 22.40%. Monacoin, Elf, Golem, Neo, wow, those are really good. So let's look at the red. So Status, Cortex are the only ones that are really down, but we saw this go up in the last couple of days. So Status specifically, as you can see, it's still on a bull run right here, even though it's not a massive bull run, but it is still pointing up, just like Populous and a lot of these coins, right? Overall, they're all projecting up, so that's really great. Just make sure, guys, I always keep telling you guys, look at the charts. If you are not subscribed to TradingView, make sure you get an account. It's for free. You don't have to get the pro account like the ones I use, but just to be able to give you guys an idea on where the markets could potentially be headed. Look at the RSI indicators. You just have to I'll show you guys how to do that if you don't know, if you're not subscribed to TradingView yet. But look at your investments. Even if you're looking at the long-term investments, you want to be able to see where they're potentially going. You want to look at least at the bare minimum, the RSI levels, as well as the MACD, and I want to show you guys the 4 EMAs that I look for to let you guys know when it's in a bear market or it's in a bull market, right? I'm going to talk about that just ever so slightly. I'm going to record a video in the future just to get more into that. If you guys want, let me know if you're looking into or interested in those type of videos. But I want to show you the stuff that I look at to see if I potentially see that a market is going to go up or it's going to downturn even more. Of course, like I always tell you guys, we are not exactly sure, right? Because there's a lot of things that can happen. If there was a horrible news that happens in crypto tomorrow, that could be a catalyst for it to downturn, right? But if there's maybe a super bull regarded news, then it could potentially pump up even more. So there's a lot of factors outside of these things. So we're always looking for those confluences, right? Confluences means like series of events that will tell you, when you add them up together, where the market could potentially go, whether it's the technical indicators, news, and all that stuff. So the technical indicators are currently showing that we are on a recovery, and we will see if that continues to happen. But make sure to look at the coins that you're invested in, and if you feel that they're potentially going to go down, I highly suggest maybe to pull out of your position and then buy back in lower. But again, don't do that if you really are convinced on those particular currencies, which I personally do. I have holdings currently that are on the down because of the fact that I see a lot of potential on these particular cryptocurrencies long term. But there are some of those that I are speculating in, are trading, that there's really no product yet and they're working on it. So I have to keep up with the news. I have to keep up with the market is potentially going. And if I feel that my my money is safer out of that particular assets, I go ahead and take it out and maybe move it to a more stable asset, a more stable project that I feel has more long-term viability, right? So let's move into the chart, guys. So as you can see behind me, I have the Bitfinex Bitcoin on the one-day chart. So like again, if you don't have TradingView, I highly suggest you go get it because it's free. Just create an account, sign up with an email, and you'll be able to access this particular chart. And you just look for your coin here. You look at like you would type BTC, USD, and of course, a lot of us, we look at BTC, Ethereum, or BTC US Tether, USDT, or maybe Ethereum to BTC, depending on what you're doing. We're not directly going into USD, but I like to look at BTC USD because I want to get an overall idea of where the market is actually headed, right? When I'm doing my tradings and buying into my positions, then I look at what currency I'm using to be able to get in on some of these assets. So this is where we go. Make sure you just type that up and look for which market. If you buy on Coinbase, look at where it is on Coinbase. I like using Bitfinex because it has a lot more volume than Bitcoin itself. So let's look at that. So like I tell you guys, I always look at where it's going. So right now we are at 6,634, and there seems to be some resistance that we may experience around the 6750 all the way to 6800 level, right? So I draw this red line right here, as you can see. It looks like we're being rejected by that line right now. We're looking at the one-day chart. We rose above the 21-day exponential moving average. So just to explain to you guys, these are my lines, right? I have you go to indicators. I personally use the 5 EMA, right? The reason for that is it gives me 5 exponential moving averages, right? Or you can add these individually. But I know that some of you, when you're using a free account, you only have maybe 2 or 3 indicators that you can be able to use. So having these multiple indicators like this one would really help you out. So I have the 8-day, 13-day, 21-day, 55-day, and 200-day moving average, right? So basically 8, if you don't know, it looks at the 8 previous candles and averages them out. The 13 previous candles averages them out. If you're looking on the day chart, you can change it right here. 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, all the way to like 1 month, right? You can do custom too. Well, I don't think you can do custom if you're using the free version. But if you have the free version, just look at the one-day chart to see if you're swing trading positions. You can look at the long-term direction of that particular market, right? So it looks like at this line it was rejected a little bit. So we need to be able to break through that. Let's zoom in here a little bit. It opened above the closing price of about 6,600 yesterday, and we're sort of hitting a little bit of a wick here, as you can see. So that means that there's some rejection that is particularly happening in that particular area. What we need to see in the next couple of days, if not soon, is we wanted to break through this 6750, 6800 line, right? That's what we want to be able to see it, because once we hit that, the next form of resistance will be around here, around the 7500 line. So we could have like a straight B line up there, right? So that's what we want to be able to see. But you have to understand that right now, usually the markets respect a 21-day moving average, right? It bounced, it broke through that particular resistance right here, that particular trend line, the 21-day average, and it bounced, right? It's trading above that. So what we wanted to do is break through this, and maybe it'll hit some resistance here on the 55-day moving average. And then, we're all the way up to the 100-day moving average. So I tell you guys, when the reason I have this line, right? Because what we want to be able to see, as you can see, right? When the lower time frames, the faster time frames compared to the higher time frames crosses over like this, and the larger numbers, right? The longer time frames, like the 200, 55, even 100, 21-day are above, it means that the selling pressure is pushing the market down. So that signifies that it's on a bullish trajectory, bearish trajectory, right? But when it's pointing up like this is usually a confluence that it's going to pump up, right? So the closer these lines get, like right here, right? As you can see here, the market start to point up, right? When it pointed up, these things are falling down, and you know that eventually these lines will meet and rise above. But it fell afterwards because it didn't have enough volume. As you can see here, I also had the volume chart below. And again, you just type on the indicators volume, right? So that's what we see. There's not enough volume, so it's sold through. That's what we want to be able to kind of avoid, right? If we look at the MACD, we always look at the MACD. The MACD is a lagging indicator. Lagging indicator means that it's plotting the trajectory based on things that have already happened, right? So it's just letting you know sort of like a summary of what happened in the market. It looks like here, it's picking up. This is what I love to see. There wasn't a lot of selling pressure right here on this particular area, as you can see, right? I hope you guys see this. And then now it's giving us a divergence there, right? A bullish divergence. And as you can see, it crossed over here. As soon as it crossed over this line, we're pointing up and it's separating higher, right? So that's what we want to be able to see. The wider that gap is, that means that it will take us longer to sort of get back into that range and maybe cross over. We don't want it to cross over yet. We want it to cross over all the way up here, potentially, hopefully, right? That's what we want to be able to see. So that's really a good sign. If we look at the RSI, and I always tell you guys, I just have a special RSI, but you can just do the regular RSI. I just have these lines. It tells me that we're oversold or undersold, right? So right here we were undersold. We were oversold for quite a while, and then we were able to pick it up, and we broke through that, and we're now up in the about 49.50 line. We wanted to get all the way up here, but maybe cool off a little bit. If this cools off, right? If the candles continue to be green, continue to go up, and this cools off, that is a really great sign. Even though we get a small pullback when it's consolidating, it's not significant enough. That means that it's not going to get oversold. The longer we are away from the oversold but not going back to the undersold is what we want to be able to see to tell us potentially where the market is headed, right? So this is a longer period time frame that we are looking at, so it gives us a better idea of where the market could potentially go, right? You can change this to like a 4-hour. So you can see if you're trading it, on the 4-hour, it looks like it's already oversold. Also the MACD as well is right above there. So right now, as you can see, it's consolidating, right? It's the bulls and the bears are fighting this line. but it happened here, right? So it sold off down here. The bulls and the bears fought, and the bears won. As you can see, there was a crossover right here. If we look at this, we look at the 100 candle moving average on the 4-hour chart. It looks like it's still going down. We might meet at around this area. Maybe that's about this weekend or so. And when that happens and we are not yet oversold, that could be a good potential for it to break through this particular resistance line and head up even more. So we, just keep looking at the low time frame, the higher time frames, for you to be able to see where the market is potentially headed, right? So let's look at Ethereum, guys. Ethereum USD, again on Bitfinex. You can change it to Coinbase, Kraken, Bittrex if that's where you trade, or Gemini if that's where you buy your crypto. I usually buy my cryptos on Coinbase, GDAX usually, now Coinbase Pro, and then move them to like Binance and all that stuff. So I look at Bitfinex. Although I don't trade, just a forewarning, I don't trade on Bitfinex because I don't have an account with them. But I use them to see where the potential market is headed because they have a lot of trading volume. So again, Ethereum on the 4-hour chart we're looking at here, it tried to break through and touch this particular line right here, but it failed, right? So right now, way I see it, this is the next level of resistance right here, because we were able to break through this line and break above that line, and it sort of sold off. As you can see, this tail right here. So somebody tried to sell this off, and then the bulls bought it back in, right? And right now we're on a red candle. It seems like the bears are trying to sell off on this particular line. And I drew this weekend in the lower time frame. I believe it was the 30-minute or 1 hour. Yeah, it was the 1 hour chart when I drew this this wedge right here, looking at it and where it would cross over. As you can see, this is a great example of it. On the 1 hour chart, we had a bullish crossover right here. This is like a golden crossover, right? That happened right here. And usually when that happens, it looks to pick back up, right? There was a lot of buy volume that happened on this hourly candle right here on this particular column. So that's why that pushed up. But to see the long-term trajectory of the market, we always like to look out, right? So the great thing about this particular area right here, let me turn off auto so it can move this around. We are pointing up. The lower time frames are currently pointing up. So that's what we like to see because of the fact that it shows us that there is a bullish momentum that's happening in the market. And as you can see, in the last couple of days, right, there are more green volume candles that are showing up on this particular area right here, these columns, than we do for selling, right? So that means that if we need to be able to continue to see green columns here to signal that we are going to be able to break through that 21-day exponential moving average. Because right now, as you can see, my little pink purple line right here, it's currently rejecting the price there. So we need to be able to break through that line. I drew a channel here as well, potentially. That's, that we were, we were trading in that particular range. And we broke through that, so that's one great sign for me, right? It broke through that line, it broke through the 13-day exponential moving average, and now it's being rejected by 21. In the next couple of days, we needed to break through that, just like we did for Bitcoin, and from there we're going to head up here to the 55-day exponential moving average. And if we break through that, then that's a really good sign, because that means that there's enough bulls in the market that are buying it up, right? So quickly, let's look at the MACD. Again, bullish crossover right here. That's what we want to be able to see, and potentially continue its rise, right? If we look at, again, the RSI, we also broke away from that oversold level. We wanted to get up here, but not get oversold. Not get overbought, and sort of cool down a little bit with the green candles not really selling off. We want to see a lot of red candles, and this RSI would cool off a little bit here. And if we're still in the green, then that could potentially be another bull rally that it can continue to pump up. There's certain resistances that we need to be able to hit through. We need to get above this 550 line, and then about the 629, 630 line. There's quite a lot of different areas that we want to be able to break through here. But one thing that's good, if you look at this, guys, let me just zoom out here a little bit. If you can see here, we've we've certainly broke off from this particular. So there's a trend line right here. I know this doesn't touch, and there was a false breakout here that we thought would happen, but right now, we're still above. We're breaking above that particular trend line there. So that's what we want to see, if that can continue, and potentially it's going to go up even further in the next couple of days or even the next couple of weeks, right? So like I keep telling you guys, I'd rather it not jump dramatically, because of the fact that that's just an FOMOing or irresponsible bull activity. We want it to be able to slowly but surely go up responsibly, just like it did in these time frames, right? It goes up, pulls back a little bit, continues to go up. But every time we have these massive gains, like what happened in December, as you can see, the recovery from that is quite astonishing. We go through almost a half year of being in a bear market, right? So that's not great. I mean, a lot of you guys, I wasn't in crypto at the time, but back into 2013, 2014, 2015, crypto winter, that was quite a long time that it was in the bear market. That is something that we hope that we don't experience again, but potentially we still could, right? But that's something that, look, we have to keep a watchful eye on where the market potentially is going. That's why I keep saying that I know a lot of you guys hodl your coins, but I think that when it comes to some of the altcoins that you buy that you're not 100% sure, they don't have a minimum viable product at least. They're just, we're just hoping that they finish and fulfill the timelines that they provided us, or the milestones that they promised us on their roadmaps. If those roadmaps are met and the price action doesn't increase, that tells us that there's not enough hype, or there's not enough attention in that particular crypto. So in that instance, if I made those gains, I'm going to pull my money out, because I'm not sure that they can continue to deliver. And if a project is stagnant, there's no community activity, even though it was hyped in the beginning, I'm also going to pull my money out, because I don't feel safe, because we work hard for our money. We don't want it to be sitting around waiting for it to be taken away from us. That's just my opinion. You guys trade however you find value in the market, and whatever your strategy is. You need to understand that you need to come up with a successful strategy and stick to that. If that's buying the dips, go ahead and do that. Me personally, when it's in the bull market, buying the dips works phenomenally, right? Because the dips are definitely what you want to be able to buy into, because you're trajecting up, so you're always getting it at a cheaper price. But when it's in the bear market, that is a different story, guys. You got to do your own research. My strategy when it's a bear market is I'm going to sell those runs. So every time it hits those resistance, I see that it's having a hard time breaking through those resistances, I'm going to sell off. If it's consolidating, I'm just going to sell off. And then once it breaks through some of those resistances after the consolidation, I'm going to buy back in and ride that wave back again. It doesn't always work 100% of the time, but you are more likely to experience success if you are more protective. You play defense. We're not just offense unless you have an unlimited source of money, which I personally don't. I want to be able to make money in the crypto space. So I want to be as responsible as can be. I've made some mistakes. I still do make mistakes, a lot of it. But we just need to make less mistakes than the success that we have. And if we add all that up together, then you will be successful in the long term, right? That's pretty much it about the chart. We'll go through some of the news really quickly so that you can kind of see where the market is and where the market, what happened in the crypto space today. And we're going to look at potentially how these affect the charts that we just looked at just a moment ago. All right. So let's check those out, guys. So the first bit of news that I want to share with you guys, this is, to me, very significant, because Tim Berners-Lee, he basically is the father of the internet. He invented the internet and gifted that to us. So for as far as the internet space is concerned, he is basically Satoshi Nakamoto, right? He's no rich guy like a Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos type of guy that really benefited financially from the internet. He invented it when he was in the university, as a researcher, as basically a scientist, right? But he didn't really get much gains from it from a financial perspective. But he understands how the World Wide Web was developed. I mean, the internet is basically a connection of different computers all over the world, right? Just the same way as the networks today exist for blockchain, where you have different miners, all these computers connected together. That would not exist without the internet, right? But the internet is that layer where the World Wide Web, which Tim Berners-Lee helped facilitate, is put on top of that particular layer, right? And we were adding blockchain and cryptocurrencies and all that stuff on top of this particular layer. So he said this. I mean, you can read this article that was on Crypto Daily, but I just want to kind of read you what he said here. The spirit there was very decentralized. The individual was incredibly empowered. It was all based on there being no central authority that you had to go to ask permission. This was his vision for the internet. The feeling of individual control, the empowerment, is something we've lost. The power of the web wasn't taken or stolen. We collectively, by the billions, gave it away. So it wasn't stolen from us, it was given away. Facebook, Google, Amazon now monopolize almost everything that happens online, from what we buy to the news we read to who we like. So that is important, guys. So we are hoping that history does not repeat itself, because we have this notion of, we want the decentralization to happen, get rid of the corrupt banking system, the governments that are keep printing fiat currency and all that stuff. That's all great, but we have to understand that they have the capacity to take over this space. We have to be disciplined to not give it all away, because think about this. If you are in Bitcoin, right? If you invest in it and you don't really study it, you buy high and sell low. The people that are buying low are people that know the space, the smart money. They can buy more than I can. They can buy collectively more than all of us can, because they're holding the banks. They hold all the fiat currency that they can just invest into the market and just eat all of us away. And you have to understand that Bitcoin itself only will have 21 million pieces, 21 million Bitcoin ever. So the most that will be able to hold the vast majority of that will control the Bitcoin. Regardless of the mining, regardless of all that, whoever owns the most Bitcoin will control the basically Bitcoin's network and the value. So just keep that in mind and be very mindful that this has happened even with the vision of decentralization for the internet, right? And remember, Napster is the same thing. It happened. If you are from the United States, you're all too familiar with Napster, basically giving us music away. I know I personally download a ton of music on Napster, right? And they got shut down. He was basically, Sean Parker was basically just thrown out of the industry. I mean, he survived because, of course, he's one of the guys that first invested in Facebook. Facebook would not be Facebook without Sean Parker getting Mark Zuckerberg introduced to Peter Thiel, right, and Sequoia Capital. So that would never have happened without Sean Parker, because he had street cred. The people in our space, the people in the internet space, understand what he was trying to do. But if you think about it now, you can buy Apple 99 cents. I mean, from iTunes, Apple Music, right? You can get an unlimited subscription using Google Play, Pandora, Spotify, and all this stuff. So basically, it's being given away. And YouTube is the #1 place that people listen to music. That's personally where I listen to music. So as you can see, a revolution that happened before got killed off. And Napster was amazing, but it got killed off, and a new version came in that it was more centralized. So just keep that in mind, guys. So the next bit of news is the Swiss finance director is confident that full banking will extend to crypto companies. So this is what he said. We hope to clarify relationships by the end of the year. By the end of the year at the latest. Time is pressing other jurisdictions such as Malta and Singapore they are very active in making a lot of effort to attract these companies, right? The lack of access to bank services is a significant competitive disadvantage. Here in America, if you have a credit card, it's really hard to buy into cryptocurrencies. And, just to connect your bank account to your Coinbase or Abra or all these other places where you can be, these gateways, these fiat to current cryptocurrency gateways, it's sometimes even hard to make those connections, right? It takes days for you to be able to verify your account, and sometimes they have added securities that they put in place because they still control the gateways. Because you're not buying into this based on feathers and chickens and stuff like that. You still have to convert your fiat currency, which the central banks and the current banking system currently control. So just keep that in mind. But they feel that with full banking it being extended to the crypto space, that will enable a lot more money to be able to be brought in to this particular space. So that's what we want to be able to see. But he also cautioned that, of course, rules on money laundering and other rules must be adhered by blockchain companies. I can understand that banks are careful with respect to know your client, remember KYC, and the anti-money laundering. So as long as we are clear on that, being in the crypto space and knowing the projects are being responsible with their KYC and also they're not being used for money laundering and stuff like that, hey, we should be in the clear. We just have to keep in mind all those things. The next bit of news is Thailand solves the currency versus security problem. How? They implemented a new law that tackles both. So they basically classified it. They created a new classification for cryptocurrency, which potentially, if this works, this could be applied to the rest of the jurisdictions all across the world, right? Under the digital asset business decree, as the law is dubbed, that's what it's called, regulators define two types of digital assets. Cryptocurrencies are used for medium of exchange or for exchanging goods, right? Or being used in a particular, so basically tokens and cryptocurrencies, right? Exchange value. While digital tokens are defined as rights to take part in an investment or to receive specific goods, right? So if it's a digital token, you're basically classifying those particular cryptocurrencies or crypto assets that are used to take part in an investment. ICOs, if they're selling you for future, they're treated as a security. So those are basically how they're defining that. And we gotta see how this all plays out in the markets in the next year, all throughout the rest of the year, because again, Thailand is just being one of the first that are clearly defining this, and each jurisdiction has its own definition. In Japan, like I told you guys, they've classified Bitcoin as a as a currency, but you cannot pay your taxes with Bitcoin. So if it was real cryptocurrency, if it was real currency, then why couldn't you pay your taxes with it? Here in the United States, we have 3 different jurisdictions. We have the IRS that are classifying it as property, so buy and sell of cryptocurrencies, regardless of how much or how you acquire this asset and how many times you sell it, it's considered a capital gains activity, where every time you make a little bit of money from it, you have to pay capital gains. But as far as SEC is concerned, some are securities, and as far as the CFTC, the Commodities Futures organization, they consider it as a commodity. So there's a lot still of clarification that needs to happen in our space for us to be able to really have the direction of where the crypto market is going to go. And I've talked about this previously on when I covered that talk from Davos. I told you guys that my opinion is we need to be able to recognize where the crypto assets that we're investing in is actually classified. And not everything is a cryptocurrency. Not everything is a security. Not everything is neither of the two, right? So we really have to understand some of our utility tokens for us to be able to use them to buy and sell on the system. Like Ethereum, for example. Ethereum, when you develop dApps, you program Solidity, you need to be able to have ETH or Ether to be able to transact within the network itself, to be able to use the platform. Golem is another example of this particular utility, right? And there's a bunch of other ones like Power, power ledger, using it to exchange power from, the value of power through different, people that hold them. So those serve utility, but like Dash, Bitcoin, Monero, and all these other, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, they're all currencies. So those are cryptocurrencies for real. But we just called everything cryptocurrency, so that kind of confuses all of us. But realistically, not everything that is traded on the exchanges right now are actually currencies. So we just have to keep that in mind. The next bit of news, second to the last news that I want to be able to share with you guys, is Coinbase adds 10 customers for its new crypto custody service. This is humongous, guys. So Coinbase, give you guys an idea, I'm sure you have Coinbase where you are, but if you don't, Coinbase they're here in America the largest cryptocurrency exchange. So they're one of those gateways that I was talking to you guys about. So the company, they aim to have about 100 large institutional customers by the end of this year, and they're trying to get up to about $5 billion in crypto assets that they can have custody over. So it protects you. They put it in the proper storage and all that stuff. So let me read you a little bit excerpt from this particular article. Coinbase is starting by offering, this is the first thing they're doing, cold storage, essentially a way to store coins offline so hackers can't grab them. It also wants to let clients move funds from cold storage to hot wallets to allow for active trading. Customers could also eventually make money by lending out assets, because you have to understand, if you're a bank, for example, right? If you deposit gold bars into your bank account, they are in charge for keeping that safe. If you leave it in your house, if somebody steals it, then you're out of luck, right? But if you have the bank or in a financial institution of some kind to hold these in a vault, like a Fort Knox type of vault kind of thing, then it's their responsibility to keep custody of your particular asset and keep it safe. And that's exactly what Coinbase is doing, but from a crypto aspect. So they probably have a record of your deposit, and then they will keep all of that together, right? So the last bit of news, again, related to Coinbase, I mean, you may or may not see this as big news. I think it is. Coinbase CEO launches a crypto charity fund, aims to raise $1 billion, right? So the current problem that he sees, that he's trying to solve here, is the fact that he feels that to help poverty, you just have to give the cash directly to the people that need it. Instead of going through a lot of these charitable organizations, which pretty much, like, I'm not against like Red Cross or like WWF, all these funds, right, that you pay into whenever there's a disaster, all this stuff. But you have to understand, and I know this firsthand because my dad, started a foundation and stuff like that in the Philippines. I originally come from a third world country. So I know this happening firsthand because there's a lot of calamities that happen where, foreign governments, people send money. And majority of the time, the people that benefit most from that money is the people that you're sending it through. So they are basically a central organization or central non-profit organization, with all due respect, non-profit, that hold that transaction and supposedly is going to release that money. But what often happens is majority of that, I would say 80 to 90% of that money is used for their overhead. There's a lot of red tape that happens here, guys. So what he's wanting to do is he wants to be that bridge. So basically, if you send a crypto asset to the person that really needs it, then you bridge those two things together and you eliminate the middleman so that those people will be able to get access to it. And they may keep it in crypto assets, or they can sell it and exchange it for their local fiat, right? So excerpt here, Armstrong, he's the CEO, points to a growing body of research that suggests direct cash transfers are an efficient way to end poverty. That's exactly what I said, right? As opposed to programs in which a large portion of your resources may be consumed by administrative overhead. He also believes cryptocurrency is an ideal vehicle for transfer because it posts almost nothing to move money. Now, remember the news that I told you guys, I think in the last video, that about $300 million worth of Bitcoin was moved for about 4 cents. Think about that, guys. Just think about that. And it gives people who like banking a way to control wealth with just their phone. That is huge, guys. So just read about this a little bit. I mean, I read this on Fortune magazine, fortune.com, and just type Coinbase CEO crypto charity fund. So this is relatively good news, because if this can work and they can be able to get a lot of buy into this particular idea, I think it's going to open up the nonprofit space, so that the real nonprofits who are just using the absolute bare minimum to be able to exist, and their whole goal is to really provide goods, services to those in need, will benefit from it the most, as well as the people that actually need, the people in poverty, the people that need the resources. I know, like, Puerto Rico was devastated. There's a lot of like from the Harvey, Katrina in New Orleans, all of these things happen, and the whole world gives, right? They have like these celebrities on the phone talking for hours and hours trying to get pledges. But what happens is whoever controls or accepts those pledges, they normally keep. But imagine if you can just click a button and get it directly to the people that you're trying to help without the middleman. Or maybe you still need an organization to help facilitate and organize things, but at least you can know that a large portion of your donation goes into there. Maybe they can be transparent. If you donate 1 Bitcoin, maybe they take, like, I don't know, 10% for their overhead fees, and then the rest of the 90% is going into the person or people that you want to give it to, as opposed to the other way around, where they keep 90% of it and they release 10% to those people in need, right? So that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you found value in today's video. I know we went a little bit longer because I really wanted to talk to you guys about the charts and where I potentially see the markets going. Some people are afraid that it's gonna drop back down again, but the indicators do show that we may go up a little bit more. We may hit some pullbacks, but not that much, looking at the chart. But I can be wrong. Don't just buy into this because I said so. But please be careful with your money, and really read and understand the cryptocurrencies that you find value in. All right, guys, until I see you guys on the next video, I wish you and your family a success-filled day. Good night, guys. I love you. Bye.